Hey everybody, sorry I didn't post yesterday. I've been busy getting this virtual learning started. I hope that you've been able to get into Schoology. If you have not been able to get into Schoology, please have your parents call or text me and or you can call or text yourself and I'll help you get in. We do have a mandatory assignment starting on Monday. It's very short, very easy, should be fun. So make sure that you get into Schoology over the weekend. If you need your password or your email address, just call me or text me or email me. All right, guys, let's get back into She Dared, Malala Yousafzai. We're going to finish chapter 5 today. All right, so what were some of your predictions? Do you think that she's going to get caught by the Taliban by sneaking into school? Remember, she's still working with the correspondent. She's still posting her story as Gul Mackay on the website, and she is still sneaking into school pretending to be in 4th grade when she's really in 5th grade. So what do you think, guys? What did you predict? All right, let's find out what happens. Malala's teacher told her the secret is our silent protest. Malala didn't dare write about it as Gul Mackay. School was too precious to her. But she didn't keep quiet otherwise. She continued to share other details of Gul Mackay's life, and Malala continued to give interviews with her dad. Her mom would say, "Malala, hide your face when you talk to the media." Malala never did, though. She didn't want to hide who she was, and Malala's mom never stopped her from speaking about education. Maybe because Malala's mom had never received one herself, something she now regretted. She stopped going to school at the age of 6 because she was the only girl in her class. All her girl cousins and friends stayed home, playing together and helping their moms. At the time, Malala's mom wanted to do the same, so she sold her books, used the money to buy candy, and never went back to school. Malala's mom once said to her, "Don't wake up like me and realize that you missed years later." She always encouraged Malala and her 2 brothers to get their education and create their own path in life. And Malala was passionate about this during the interviews and her speeches. Her father spoke with his hands, waving them wildly to make a point. Malala spoke with her eyes and a clear, strong voice. "Education is education," she said. "Education is neither Eastern or Western, it is human." So she's saying it doesn't matter whether you come from the East or whether you come from the West, that everybody deserves an education, boys and girls, right? Humans deserve to be educated. After a week after Malala started creeping to school, there was gunfire right outside her home. It was close, too close. She was frightened and ran to her father. He wrapped his arms around her and said, "Shujani, it's okay. I think this gunfire is different. These shots are jubilation." What is jubilation? What did my face do when I read that? Jubilation is celebration. So her dad is saying, "Don't be afraid. I think somebody's celebrating something." As when a baby boy was born, rifles were fired to celebrate. "What's happening?" Malala asked him. "I've heard there's to be a peace deal." A peace deal between the Taliban and the Pakistani government? Malala couldn't believe it, but she was grateful for it. So were her parents. Both of them had tears in their eyes. Could this also mean all girls schools would be reopened? Could this mean all the fear and destruction would stop? For the first time in a long time, Malala was optimistic. Within days, there was energy and noise in Mingora again. Malala went to the market and she was shocked to see the crowds. There was even a traffic jam of cars and buses. The flying coach passed, a brightly painted minibus, and jangling chains. Then something happened better than the busy market. The Taliban finally relented. They said all the girls could return to school, but they would have to be veiled, so they would have to have something covering their heads. Normally, as part of their Pashtun heritage, Malala and her mom wore long headscarves to cover their hair and necks. With the addition of their own traditional clothing, only their faces and hands were visible. By veil, the Taliban meant they wanted girls to wear a burqa, which is an outer garment that covers the entire body, including the face. There is this semi-transparent portion across the eyes to see through. Malala bought the burqa, made walking Malala thought the burqa made walking difficult, but she would wear it. Even though it wasn't part of their heritage, if it meant she could go to school, she would wear it. Malala gave interviews sharing her excitement about the peace deal and girls' schools being reopened. One interview took place on the roof of Taj Mahal Hotel. It was almost springtime. A cool breeze nipped at her face and hands. "Let's talk peace, not war," she said. Then her interview was interrupted. She learned the Taliban had killed a TV reporter. Was the Taliban's peace deal only an illusion? The thought of this man's death and the thought of the peace deal being a trick only for the Taliban to get what they wanted was sickening. Malala wrote about it. Hope smashed. Soon after Malala stopped dictating her diary, since the correspondent said there was not much more to say, somehow the Taliban became even more barbaric. Barbaric means evil and mean. Gunfire kept Malala up most nights. Even though school was now allowed, nearly 3 weeks after classes normally began, only a few of her classmates were still in SWAT risk going. Malala couldn't imagine leaving Mingora, let alone going to school. Her father always said there was nothing more important than knowledge, so she kept going to class. February turned to March, April passed, then in May, the Pakistan Army finally launched an operation to drive the Taliban out of SWAT once and for all. But in order to do so, they wanted everyone to leave the valley. The army walked the streets, and between the buildings in Mingora, the homes touched or sat close together in varying shapes and sizes. A shack made of mud and stones was right next to a mansion. Most homes were only 1 story. The hospital and hotel stood the highest, at 3 stories. Using megaphones, the army told the people of Mingora they had to go. In her bedroom, Malala's head popped up from the balcony from her biology textbook. Sorry, guys, I don't know what my eyes are doing to me. From her biology textbook. Leave. Her eyes filled with tears. Suddenly, missiles whistled through the air. How do y'all think Malala's feeling? The Pakistan Army wasn't waiting to begin their attacks against the Taliban. She ran to her father. He hugged her. "Don't worry, Malala, we will be back." Malala shuddered, trying to collect herself and be brave. "Now go," he said. "Pack. We must hurry, Yanni." Quickly, Malala gathered clothing into bags. She was so scattered and shaky that she packed mismatched clothes. In her school bag, she put Oliver Twist and Romeo and Juliet. She added many textbooks: math, physics, Urdu, English, Pashto, chemistry, biology, Islamic religious studies, and Pakistan studies. That was all she packed: clothes and books. Her family didn't have a lot of expensive things: no jewelry, no laptops. With 2 bags at her feet, Malala scanned her bedroom, her bed and desk. Her trophies and awards she'd won at school. She tried to commit every detail to memory, every crack on her white wall. Why would she be trying to memorize that? Do you think maybe she was nervous that she would never be back? Think about that feeling. How do you think she's feeling? She's been driven out of her home by war and by fighting and by gunfire. How do you think she's feeling? "Malala," her father called. It was time to go. She remembered her grandmother once saying, "No Pashtun leaves his land of his own sweet will. Either he leaves from poverty or he leaves for love." Now Malala, her family, and the people of SWAT were forced to leave for a 3rd reason: the Taliban. Malala held back tears. She felt she'd never see her home again. All right, guys, think about the book. Think about what's happening. Each chapter gets a little more scary, right? Each chapter, something else happens to Malala. Now the Taliban is driving her out of her home. So first her school and now her home, because of fighting and because they're trying to take over and rule. So what do you guys think is going to happen? Make a prediction in the comments below. Talk to somebody in your house about what you think may happen and make some predictions, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.